get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
Guys, where are we?
Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
Welcome to the Outer Rim. Enjoy your stay.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick!
I figured put it at the beginning.
It's a great way to kick things off here.
Plus, it was like they have that whole thing where it's like in the first 30 seconds. Well, I was like 31, 32, 33. So I got past the first 30 seconds. And yeah, I found that intro just this morning. And like I said, just found some stuff and put it together. So I think it looks pretty cool. I'm
glad you're having fun with it. That's we're kicking things out in the Outer Rim here. We're moving things up into more of an experimental phase, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Yes. Anyway, welcome back everybody to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, whatever you want to call it. And I am also joined, as usual, for these videos that we are doing with my friend Darrin Jaques. I pointed the right way. On the first try. Darrin Jaques from D's Reviews is joining me as usual. My friend who you said it best last week. Perfection is what this show is, pretty much. How you doing? I am so happy that you're back with me, and maybe we'll have some other guests as we go along, but right now it's just the two of us. Are you ready to get severed today?
I am ready to get severed. I'm excited to be here. And yes, let me let you know that this broadcast is not being brought to you by AT&T. AT&T, they're not going to tell you that they just burned up their entire fiber line here in Altadena. It's also not being brought to you by Spectrum, who will tell you that their service works in your area, get you to sign up, get you all connected, and then say, oh, by the way, you're out of service right of the internet you just signed up for. It is being brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile, the hotspot that just keeps on giving. So there's my corporate plug for the day.
Yeah. Well, I was going to do a commercial and now we got one. So because like I said, there was going to be something here, and it was going to be like Lumen inspired, and look next week for some more weird stuff that I'm going to put in this before we start talking about it. Because again, it just inspires me to just get weird and be experimental and be fun and just do whatever. But so full spoilers for the second episode of season 2 of Severance, called Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. I like that they had the last one be Hello, Miss Cobell. And now, but for actually different reasons. One was because of the computer screen, and now literally Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. How she leaves, damn. Patricia Arquette's like full return to the show after in the second episode does not disappoint. And we get to finally see what happened to everybody else when they came back on. So last week we got to see everything that was going on inside. Now we're seeing everything that's going on outside, and putting to rest some of our theories and other things, which I'm so glad we can just start chucking things out that aren't true now. But then, of course, they just add a bunch of other things that now we're going to have to think even more about as we start this second episode. And I just want to talk about that intro that they put in for the second season is just
oh yeah,
I hope that they're paying that person, whoever did that intro, man, deserves some loot, because it's so cool and it's such a vibe. Even like when the episode ends, I get chills. when it cuts to black and the music cuts in, for some reason I get like goosebumpy and everything because I'm just so like like even talking about it kind of gets the hairs up on my arm, and that's so weird to say, but like it really does. The excitement of talking about something like this show, it's so nice to be talking about something that I don't have to like go, oh, this episode really, shit the bed.
No, and I was excited about the new intro because the one thing I did notice last week is we didn't have an intro. And yeah, I loved how they did the whole setup, and it really, especially as the season progressed, it's always fun to see how they put those intros together. Because like, oh, they're referring to this or the blackness seeping, and you're starting to be able to put these things together. So the fact that last week still haunting imagery and music, but different enough for you to go, okay, this is progressing. We can see where this is where we get the innies and the outies are obviously going to start weighing over each other now, or things are going to collide even more, which we just started seeing last season. So no, I was fully excited by this. So yeah.
Also, I did want to bring up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you definitely right about Patricia Arquette returning. Mrs. Koval is colder than the snow that her car is parked in. Oh man, just
Kobelvig,
perfect.
I think is what they decided on. Kobelvig. Of course, we had to mash her up in order to remember one person. I did want to also bring up, because I told everybody at the Discord that because we've been doing the blindly pick shirts of the day. This was supposed to be last night's shirt. I'm wearing it again. I only own a couple of Game of Thrones shirts. You guys already saw the one on the Discord for the wall. This is my Hodor shirt because I just thought the quote shirt. I think this is the ultimate quote shirt because it says everything that someone can say.
Yeah.
It's like I am Groot. But before
it is the Alpha and the Omega.
It's before. Well, no, Groot was before Hodor, but before Guardians of the Galaxy came out, Hodor was the original I am Groot, I think. But also just it says like Hodor is one of my favorite characters on that show, and I kind of feel like when they lost Hodor, I feel like something in that show just went down. But anyway, that's just me talking about the blindly picked shirts. Let's talk about this episode. So right off the bat, I was a little worried. I was like, no. The show will go back, and they do circle back. But right when they kind of ignored the whole she's alive thing, I was like, oh God, please tell me they're not just gonna, like wash over, like the whole thing. But I knew that this, I was worried, but I shouldn't have been, because they circle right back to it, just like Mr. Milchick does with Mark later. But the first thing I want to talk about is Michael Siberry as James Egan, and the guy Olafur Dari Olafsson, who I've seen in a bunch of stuff. He's always really intimidating. Rena in the chat saying, Hodor, I'm a pocket. Okay, so we were introduced to James Egan before, but now we get this Drummond guy, Mr. Drummond, which always makes me think of Different Strokes. But James Egan, when he comes in to see his daughter, calls her a fetid moppet and leaves. I just wanted to say that I've seen Crazy Eyes before, but that man has lunacy. Like, he is just all lunacy coming out of those eyes. There is nothing but insanity that I look into those eyes. That is a scary, scary person.
There's damage. There's damage in that individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially
fetid moppet. Oh my god.
yeah. It's a smelly child or dirty child, foul child. Which, it's interesting because they have so many odd references because in the scene right beforehand, Rickon's talking about the new baby has a smelly diaper. Oh, poopy diaper here. We've got to do that. Yeah, Rena in the chat's mentioning that also. And then we have this, which is kind of that same thing. It's like, you shitty child. It's just that. There's so much love. You can just see the damage that really Helena lives with. Is while she is kind of a perfect corporate bit you get to see throughout this episode, she's very quiet, she's apologetic, she does the things that need to be done. There is an empty lacking in that girl, because we'll get into that more, because I think
you can see it. Like what's great is like she holds so much back. She's just completely, she doesn't talk back to him. She probably knows it's better not to. If somebody had that look in his eyes 24/7, I probably wouldn't talk much either.
I don't think there's any release for her at all. Her entire existence is a front.
But she immediately just goes to business. It's time for damage control. And we get our return of Harmony Cobell when Helena goes in to talk to her in the big conference room. And where we just see she hasn't missed a beat. I'm not saying she's doing anything method really, but she becomes the characters. I've seen her in the roles that she's had since, I want to say, like going back to like Boardwalk Empire. And I mean, she really did inhabit the role in True Romance. I never watched Medium, or was it? Yeah, I never watched that.
Yeah, she was great in that.
But and I imagine if she's being a medium, she has to like, channel a bunch of people. That's the reason why I didn't watch it.
They did that. They did a little smarter in that show in a more of an interactive way, as opposed to like, I'm possessed. But yeah,
she gets to be somebody, like kind of like we don't need to go all that far. I was about to just start listing off all the shows that people have but what it really interests me here, aside from Harmony and Patricia's reactions to everything, was the first thing about like that made me think again of our work lives and what goes on at jobs, and how they fired her and we did you wrong, and I welcome your, oh my god, her and Milchick both sound like she's the strict, she's the church lady.
Oh yeah,
without the the humor.
She's
the lack
a believer.
And Milchick is like basically the cut of the same cloth. But what really interests me in this scene is the promotion that she gets, which I've heard fake job titles before to make you think that you're getting something when you're really not. In fact, you're probably getting something even worse when they want to just push you out of the way. First and second is the word advisory.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That means you're just there to give if we want to hear your opinion, you're there for it when we need it. And I just really love that, because I don't know if she's, like when she says she'll put thought into it and blah, 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 she's still, she's looking for her angle, but in the end, she'd still probably, she'll probably take it. But did she, does she know that that's what they're offering her? Basically, I mean, she does say, you don't value me. saying that, but it's, to me, that's just because she's desperate to get back onto the severed floor more than anything.
Sure.
So this advisory thing, even if it's real or not, is not where she wants to go.
No, but it
And-
still keeps her in the game, which is, I think,
Yeah.
where she might take it in order to twist around. In fact, I wonder if she's the one, as we'll find later on, behind the videos and stuff. You know, how do we manipulate this group in order to believe it? You know, the ones that we see down the severed floor about the big changes that are going on. No, you know, this show is does such a beautiful commentary on the corporate world, the corporate mindset. That's the one thing about Helena with this is she is the perfect corporate position responder. She will apologize if she needs it. She will mean it. She will order people to do the things that need to be done. She has her checklist of what the next thing is. Oh, and now I have to be contrite. Okay, now I'll sit in front of a camera and I'll explain that I'm sorry I chose to drink and have a non-lumen rash treatment. I love that they included, and I was, you know, using some other product not developed by our company that had horrible side effects and caused me to make a joke at an inappropriate joke at the time. I mean, really, it's everything is like off of a corporate, checklist of each thing to go down and what you want to do. And I love how you have that because, yeah, you have the difference there in that kind of world is you have Harmony, who is the true believer, which is why she felt so betrayed when she got fired and destroyed her shrine and everything in her closet afterwards, but wants to be back in because she believes that she knows really what the vision is. And then you have Helena, who is just like, this is the way it works. We do this, we do this, we cover this, we clean this up, we take care of these things. And even her what was it, send off to Milchek when he's asking, so I fire them? Let Kier's hand guide you.
It's like the guy asking the mob boss, you want me to, rub them out, see?
I think you're going to do what's best for the family there, Bob. That's what you're going to do.
I think when the time comes, you're going to know what you're going to have to do there, there, Bob?
I'm not going to say it, and you don't need to hear it. Yeah. Sorry.
Roger here in the chat saying, we fear no one. I got goosebumps when Helena said that. So straight face. So did I. That whole interaction is two people playing chicken with each other, kind of like with just dialogue of like, it's like a negotiation to one person. It's not a negotiation. Like, I don't think either of them really thinks that they can budge. Like they're both like, Helena could just go and bring the hammer down. Harmony we'll sit there indignant. I just love that scene. Just when how they say what they are trying to say without saying it. Like when she says she gets this promotion, you don't value me.
Yeah.
You just got a promotion. What do you mean they don't value you unless you understand that the promotion's bullshit?
It's the most bullshit fake title I've ever heard.
And then for her to just be like right back, we fear, like you fear me. That's why I'm still here. We fear no one. And like they said, and Rena pointed out, they are operate in more countries than actually exist.
Yeah. No, it's
maybe there's more. Well, maybe, I don't know, but
you can't trust anything they say.
But with her saying that she took a non-lumen medication, at least we know that they're into pharmaceuticals at the very least. As we try to figure out what exactly it is that they all do there, it feels like, again, what it makes me think of is like Madrigal a little bit, from Breaking Bad. Madrigal, okay. That just has like a bunch of subsidiaries that can do all kinds of business and has their little toes and fingers in everything. so that there's, Madrigal Pharmaceuticals, but I'm sure that there's groceries and all sorts of stuff that they've got their hands into, which is really scary.
Yeah,
Because
the
then
everything company.
yeah, and that they're in charge of, all these people that aren't, they're two people. And I know that this is terrible because we're supposed to be we're against Severance. We're against Severance. But boy, oh boy, I really wouldn't. There's a lot of days where I really wish I didn't remember going into work. So
is there a thing you could do that just, makes me think that I spent the whole day fishing?
yeah,
Is that the line from Office Space?
yeah,
You just
it's called
hypnotized
booze,
me.
I guess.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that makes it hard to actually get your job done. So, which is the thing that you do. Well, and of course, obviously, the big problem with Severance is that you have instant morality issues as you have created another person. Which is, obviously the biggest thing in here. No, and I just got to say, obviously, I referred to it this. I love this episode because we get to see the other side from what we saw last week. And it does, to me, answer so many of the questions. Obviously, the biggest is that, yeah, the time that you're telling the people down, yeah, has nothing to do with reality. It's the next day, maybe the day after that. And just
Right.
how you can manipulate, and again, how the corporation manipulates reality for its employees becomes a whole other little level on top of this. So, yeah.
Then we got Mr. Milchick, who is now in charge with his leather jacket, his excellent motorcycle helmet, going
Sure.
around and doing the hits as it is, like while Helly makes her confession or whatever. That's not really a confession. And so we get to meet Irving, who after last week, we know, like, he saw that he was painting, all those things over and over and over again. And he just completely, like, Milchick knows what happened, but it's interesting. Each interaction is different. When he goes to Irving, he doesn't say anything about anything. He doesn't tell him about the overtime contingency at all. He just asks him, "Hey, man, what's going on? Anything weird?" Almost as if he knows that Irving's Audi is, I don't want to say that he knows that they're up to something, but just the cagey way that this is all handled makes me wonder what's going on with their like, what does Milchick know that Irving doesn't? And not necessarily about what the easy stuff would be about Irving's innie. So when he gets fired, it feels like more of a, like, I am firing this guy. When he goes to Dylan and lies, like, well, he doesn't, he lies and he lies and he lies. When he gets to Mark, he actually tells him the truth.
Yeah.
Like, he got into a physical altercation with Dylan and he's the aggressor. No, that didn't happen.
But there's no way that you would know the difference. So that sells.
But so when he gets to Mark at their house, which we then circle back to them discussing the whole thing about Gemma and the she's alive thing, which again, the banter that these two have as brother and sister is excellent. How else is she going to react when she finds out, like, this woman that came here and almost took our kid? Like, that was the motivation that they wrote in, and that's all it takes now for Devin to be fully invested in finding out what's going on, because someone came to her house where her kid is.
Yeah.
And we don't need, like, any further explanations. We don't need to go, what could possibly be? Why does she care so much? It's like, because she has a kid and they got involved.
Deceptive lactation person. God, she had such a great little term there. It was like,
Oh
That's
my God.
not
Yeah.
a thing, but
Yeah.
that's good enough.
So Milchick showing up over there while they're discussing that and him not wanting to believe, because who would? There's so much more here, I think, though, with Gemma and the accident and everything. Because they said something along the lines of like talking to somebody. It said contact him. We could contact him. And but who is that? Is it her parents, her brother? There's some him that they're not supposed to have contact with that's involving the accident. I don't know if you caught that.
I don't have a specific note from that from what I see. So
They bring it up and then they drop it and move on.
okay.
But
Well, no, well, they do that really well.
yes.
So
Which makes you like have to like really be paying attention for all these little breadcrumbs.
Well, let me jump on that, but let me touch on Irving here real quick, because
Yeah.
Irving to me is like the secret weapon that's out there, whose information I am really waiting to find out. Because obviously we know nothing about him except once we do get to see about his outer life, that he's got all notes on Lumen and employees and things like this, that he has some whole research thing that he is behind. Which is why when they show what he's done, he's just smooth as silk. Oh, there was this thing on TV tonight, so of course that's what I've been doing. Like, what are you doing, good fellow? I mean, it was like almost over the top, but it wasn't any sort of weird or concern or anything. And then when he gets let go, he's like, "Well, what's happening? You know, what's going? What aren't you telling me?" He's playing it super cool. And I'm excited that, you know, but that's the one thing I'm also like, but we're still not seeing what happened at that moment when he was knocking at the door, when he was yelling what's happening. And I know they're holding on to that stuff. So to me, Irving is the real tease that I'm paying attention to.
Well, then before we go back to that, I mean, we can cover all of Irving right now, because
sure,
there is stuff that I just want to talk about anyway. Because yeah, the way he talks to him, just like, hey man, like what's good, you know, like he's very cool about all of it, right? He's almost too cool about all of it. So when he goes to, okay, first off, payphones.
Where did you find a payphone?
So I guess Kier really likes to, you know, the old timey ways. So payphone, cool. I love it. It's a throwback to old spy movies anyway, of like,
sure,
you had to go out and you had to go down to the corner, or you had to go 3 blocks over, you know, like whatever, to like try not to get caught by whoever's listening, or yada yada yada. So it's typical kind of paranoid, you know, behavior of like, gotta go out. I tried so hard to listen to everything he said. I was squeezing it because the car noise purposely cover it up beautifully. Again, like you said, how they do that, they'll say something and drop it, or they'll make it so you can't quite hear everything or see everything that's going on. But we know in this, right, he says, my innie got the message. Right. Which means the message was all those paintings he was obsessively going over was to put that idea in his head about the door. So this has been a long time coming, like this plan that he's up to, now that he knows it's working, and whoever he is he's talking to on the phone, like you said, there's bigger plans going on, and he's got these things mapped out. And what happened when he was at the door, and he says, like, you know, he has this blah blah blah, but I think because Bert's following him now.
That's the one. Yes.
Okay. So Bert's following him now, but I don't necessarily think this is a good thing. I don't necessarily think this is just curiosity either. I mean, there's curiosity, sure, but like, what if, because Bert's recording of his goodbye, his little farewell, he seems to be fine with Lumen. And I'm wondering if, like, what if he's just another believer? or something like that. I want it to be what everybody else wants it to be. I really, really do. Because we want these two, like, we're going to do it. I'm doing it. I told you I had it. So here it is. It's the perpetuity wing. It's Bert and Irving.
Nice.
Hey there, Bert. Hey there, Irving. We want these two to get together so bad. But what would be the perfect way to keep them apart? What if they really are coming from different ideals, and that Bert's somebody that has probably maybe already told Irving to piss off, and that I'm happy with everything that I have at Lumen, but now this guy's banging on the door and it's him. Maybe there's, I either need to report on this because we don't even know who Christopher, like, we know we think his name is Bert. Anybody's name could be anything on this show. And again, because we speculate, and it's probably way simpler, way more straightforward than even we think. Or he really could be just curious and wanting to find out more about this. That's what we want, but I don't think that's what they're going to give us. And I'm glad that they don't just give us what they want. I want what the story needs more than anything.
Well, no,
okay.
and
for
the
the characters,
trust with these choices, they're going to make that story interesting. Yeah.
So what do you think about any of that?
When I was super excited, obviously, to see Bert tailing Irving. And again, that's why it makes me more interested. It's like, what happened at that door when he woke up, when that switch happened? Now we're seeing everybody else, but we don't really see what happened with him. So I'm curious, like, was there a connection? Did he just walk away at that point? Does Bert remember something? Is he on the opposite side? Because that would give them the kind of, opposite sides. So their innies are in love, but their outies are against each other. I mean, yeah, you got lots of fun potential for drama right there. I'd almost say that it can't be that because the show has made things much too interesting, but I couldn't suspect what that would be. They are still hiding who is it that Irving is talking to, but obviously there's a connection that he is aware, and there are positives, and there are things are going into motion. There is some larger plan happening, and just the fact that they're laying that out, I don't really need to know more specifics than that to just be excited about where that's going. What words did he use? I would drive myself nuts doing that because I have driven myself nuts listening to small things like that. So no, I'm just excited about that. It's the one that one part of the outside world I'm really waiting to be revealed, and I think that's going to be like a mid-season or later moment. But on the other hand, I also thought that this whole sequence would be a couple more episodes down the road, and they gave it to us immediately. So I am not going to presuppose what they're going to tell. The other thing that wanted to get past Irving, was there anything else you wanted to say with Irving there? No. Was with the whole Mark thing and his sister, because you're right. I love their back and forth. I love their relationship. I love the fact that the episode picked up right at that moment, and she's playing it super cool because, of course, he's like, "What's up, everyone?" Everyone's like, "You were just screaming, she's alive," and the fact that she is that Devin is the one that like is grabbing the why did you have Gemma's picture in your hand? I mean, yeah, there's got to be a reason, because obviously we get the important information is Mark says, "I saw her body." Now he also says later on a reference to, well, if you see Rickon, yeah, that you're going to find his burnt corpse laying there, and you're going to see that and have to identify and go on and tell his baby on, which made me think, well, did you see her body, or did you see a burnt, unrecognizable body? Maybe they did the Will Byers perfect look-alike little mannequin type of thing you could look like. Stranger Things reference, folks. Or maybe it was some other fake body. We know that Gemma's alive unless part of what Lumen is doing is cloning people, which I'm not going to put aside yet. But it does let us know, like, oh, well, is it? But then also, is it? So they do pepper, like you say, these small little things to pay attention to. But I love the fact that it's Devin who is pushing she's the one that keeps bringing up Gemma, even though he is so ready to dismiss it because, and you can see why. Why the fuck would I open that wound up again? What, you want to tell me? Oh, you think that my wife is alive? I've been severed for 2 years on some attempt to deal with this reality. So I could totally understand why he doesn't even want to entertain the thought. But she is the one, like you said, all you got to do is say, this person had my baby to make her want to go after Selvig. All Devin needs is the one little thing. And as that loving, appreciative sister, and I love their relationship, you're right. I love the fact that she is the one that keeps pushing that button. Like, hey, until we get the scene with Selvig later on, where it really comes out, which is like, fucking awesome.
Yeah, and because they've cast this so well, they found somebody clearly that they wanted to have this kind of relationship with Mark's character, and they found her. I love that this is what they've given this actress something to do to keep that plot line moving, to keep pushing him, because again, the relationship you have with your brothers and sisters is a really interesting, there's no other relationships like it. You can mess with each other in ways you never can mess with anybody else. You have your own secret languages. You have your own ways of getting to the problem of things and dealing with problems differently. But it's so well crafted here. And we've seen a million different relationships, and they don't always feel real authentic. They just feel like basic TV show discussions. But also in this scene, we get to see Milchick versus the sister, how Milchick is trying to, the guy who, again, who's so coming in to control the situation, to put some fear into them. Unfortunately, Milchick had to go to this house and not get Mark alone yet. Because these people thrive. These kind of people thrive on separating you and making sure that they can control things. And he does not like that she's controlling the conversation. He keeps when he turns, he barely turns his head. He kind of looks like this and and the way he dismissively quickly shifts his head and focus back to Mark. This is trained behavior. Mm-hmm. She's questioning me. She's the one doing it. Mark doesn't even have a chance yet to even speak. But when he does, in front of all of them, the head games just keep coming out, talking about how brave, this was, you must feel so violated, but on the other side of it, what he did was so brave. Wouldn't it be terrible to reward that bravery with non-existence?
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that was wow. That was just perfect.
And again, Tillman.
We have no punishments at Lumen. I love that one. I love that one.
They're just so and all it really is just, it's the delivery, it's the tone, it's the setting, it's the way that it all goes down, because it's just it's not a scary sentence, but until they put it all of it into this, weave it, and then the way it just comes out, it is creepy as hell. And anybody who doesn't know that that's mind games.
And I love how they set up, it's like Devin is an immediate foil from the beginning. Like when he comes in, she drops the towel over the picture to remove that kind of reference or anything else from the conversation at all, which I thought was great. I mean, she was just eyeing him with just such disdain from the beginning. Because it's like, I know what you're doing. we may not say anything, we may not be opening it up, but the lines were drawn, and I think that gave that tension too. Because you're right, Miltrick's just acknowledging but dismissing. We got to focus on Mark. What does Mark want? How do we motivate Mark to give us? Because you're right, Mark's the only one that he's telling the truth to, and he's important. Mark is the important key to all of this. And the why is what we're really going to find out. It does have, we find out later on, to do with, was it Harbor?
Cold Harbor.
Cold Harbor, right. Which correction from our conversation last week, yes, we do see Gemma at the end, because as he's finishing up his little thing, it's the Cold Harbor file that he's working on. He's obviously very entranced and into, maybe he's got the secret key to doing this, but it does seem to connect to all of these other little files we see at the end, which ends up on this picture of Gemma. So yeah, there is some reason why he's here, what this is, what the larger is. What that is, we don't know. Obviously very intrigued for it, but the fact that he's important enough for them to dance all around to try and appease his innie to get the work done. And that's what we got to focus on. Lumen wants Mark's job done. Everything else is just a way to get that to happen.
Yeah. Dylan, I don't know if this was a really necessary scene to have Dylan go to the door factory
with the guy that looks almost exactly like him.
Like, and you know that wasn't like an accident either. Like, because I've seen this guy before, and I was like, I saw somebody had a thumbnail, and I went, "What's wrong with Zach Cherry's face?" He kind of looks like that one guy from, I think it was, oh God, I don't remember say it was Eastbound and Down or something. But that guy's been around. He's a character actor.
Oh yeah.
His name is, dang it, I have it written down here. That's okay. Adrian Martinez.
Right.
Is the actor's name. But his character's name is Hector Saliba. But it's just a fun little scene about doors. And what's your favorite kind of door? And don't make door puns, apparently, is the line. Be obsessed with doors. Don't like that Lumen makes their own doors. Lumen makes their doors in-house, which is such a weird thing. Don't make door puns. And apparently he's got a real problem with carpet factories as well. What do you think this is? A carpet factory? Like, I want to know what that means.
And that's the thing. There may be so many like industry end jokes that only carpet guys or door guys are really going to be like, there's like a door guy like, oh my God, dude, this guy, whoever the writer is, he worked in a fucking door factory. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot this tonight.
It's fucking fine.
But no, this is like, it's almost where those are like, Cherry, you've been doing a good job. We're gonna give something fun for you. We're gonna do something fun, because we don't know anything about Dylan's outie character. We're slowly learning about everybody else. And this is a guy that obviously is kind of a dick to his wife, but also kind of a loving. It's like you'd see he's one of those where under stress he lashes out, but he's almost like, sorry, honey, and we need to get some wipies, right? Because I want to drive for a while and I don't want to come right home, but I'll get those right.
And the lashing out is more self-inflicted. Like, he's mad at himself. Like, he doesn't want to talk about failure that he experienced. And that, I mean, I guess the scene you could say is when you have a family and you suddenly lose your job at any age, when you're young. And honestly, I mean, I could say this now, like, I could go out in the street, have another job in less than a day, be starting the next day, be right back at it. and I did a lot of like restaurant job, like, so it's just like boom, boom, boom. But when you hit a certain age, man, and you realize like, and you suddenly get let go, it's a real fear. So like to go out to apparently have a lot of things to say about doors and almost have a instant, in with another job, as soon as they find out you're severed, nope,
Oh yeah.
the
Well,
door
that's it.
closes.
You get nice. We said no door puns. You're out of here. No, but it is very true. You can see that difficulty is he's got to go out. He's probably been hitting it. How many days did he go out looking for a job before he told his wife he was fired, But he's out there immediately. He's struggling. There is the prejudice that now we see happens with severed employees. Well, because you don't really get any work experience while you're severed. That's your innie. So what do you know about any of the work that you actually did? I mean, it's a great excuse or reason why, and not without some legitimacy. But also that idea that, yeah, he is struggling and coming up. He doesn't know shit about doors, but he comes up with the pocket door idea because he probably saw that on Home and Garden, some home renovation thing over the weekend or whatever, and is able to just kind of roll with it like, hey, wait a minute, I got something going, because yeah, I've been dreaming about doors since I was 5 is not a real answer, which the guy kind of digs into. But I love the fact they get that kind of back and forth, and you're like, all right, there's a camaraderie, there's a feeling, there's a connection here. And then, of course, it all falls apart because, yeah, he makes a door pun and he's severed, and there's reasons, for whatever. It's you just see that desperation. And I think that's what we get to see with Dylan here. Is Dylan is a man that is desperate to do work. And he obviously didn't have a smooth work life, because like, yeah, a bunch of short-time jobs and then Lumen. So, probably hates working, but he's got to do it because he's got a family. So yeah, I just love that they gave him something fun to do that actually does give us a little bit of insight into who this guy is on the outside, which is very much opposite to the guy on the inside in some ways, who is all like getting it done and being number one, and we're on top and we're the best that we can be.
Yeah, because he's all on, he doesn't have the thoughts of a kid or a wife or any of that stuff. He's just like I don't know, kind of like how I am in real life. Just like when you don't have all those things to think about, you collect. Never mind. We're not going down. We're not talking about. I'm not going to talk about.
Sure.
This. But I did want to bring back over to the chat with Roger saying, "Is that Gemma's car?" In the opening titles that is half in the water. I don't know. I did not see it. Rena asking same question. Did you drown or by fire? I don't know yeah, that's the thing. That the whole thing surrounding what happened to her is going to be, I think, one of the big things about this show is finding out what happened to her. Because I agree. I think that the clone thing is about the only thing that makes sense right now.
I mean, in a show like this, I'm not putting it past the realm of possibility, considering how they're messing with people and making cells, and that cloning would be the next step, seems to make sense for the way that Lumen operates. There was a scene last season where Mark goes by to a tree, and I think there's some stuff around there, like a memorial type of thing, where I got the impression that I got is that she had veered off the road and crashed into a tree, and obviously the car caught fire and burned. We may learn something different. We may also, this may be referring to another character or something else that happens this season also.
If they, God, I'm doing it. if they need Mark so bad, right? For whatever reason it is, because it seems just really like, I mean, what were they going to do if he doesn't go to work at Lumen? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Was it some sort of coincidental circumstance, or was it designed from the beginning? We'll take out the wife so that you hate things enough that you will come work for us to do the stuff that we need. Because we also get that Gemma had mentioned that she's only been alive for 136 hours or 96 hours or some tiny amount, and then she only comes out, does her job, and then gets sent back into the freaking closet there. The dark elevator room. What'd you say? The testing floor?
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of an odd. It's like, what was her whole transition? Don't you have to have really a skill in order to be a psychiatrist? And yet you don't seem to with the Lumen Handbook for Everything. Yeah, I think those are all very legitimate questions because there's something going on.
Did they fake the accident? You know what I mean? Did they cause the accident?
Right.
Like, and again, like, how many different ways can you be severed? And how many ways can your memories be manipulated? It's a big thing. All that, we got all of that just off of asking whether or not that was her car and half sunk in the opening credit. So thanks for that comment. That dug us, got us some more content. But it probably is. If there's a car half sunk in the opening credits, because I need to study them even more because I've only watched it a couple of times. A lot of little bait, like the whole thing with balloon heads and babies and other stuff going on there. That's a whole other video we could practically make separately, just talking
Sure.
about what's going on in that intro. But I would bet that if there's a car sunk halfway in there, it's got to be about that. Rena says she loved his perks. I loved his perks too. I love that there's that scene where Cobell's got the finger cuffs stuck to her fingers. I loved that. Helly. We haven't really talked about her as much. Okay?
We have not. No.
Studying Helly R's interactions with Mark. And this goes back to our feeling of that's not Helly in episode 1. I definitely don't think it's Helly now that we've gotten this episode. And if you watch the behind the scenes thing, they're like talking about it like, oh, she's like, maybe like her life doesn't have, and that's the safe, like they're given the safe little lines.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want us. So like when we talk about, oh yeah, maybe she's not like her dad and the hurt and everything, and maybe she does want these things and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's what she's doing at all. I think she wants to hurt herself in some way, even though it's completely batshit crazy because you are her, right? But I think what she intends to do is put her back there eventually, but not until she fucks with her life enough. So all that studying she's doing, I don't like, you can say, oh, wow, maybe, she wants to know what she sees in Mark and everything. And I just think she's trying to figure out how to mimic that enough, but she is not her. She is not there. And that's the off part about it and how long that will last. Another thing is, if she gets caught down there, if she gets found out that she's Helena, they can hold her hostage.
Oh, that would be interesting. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was really interesting in watching her reaction with watching all of the scenes of Helly with Mark and everything else. The impression that I got off of her was jealousy. She's jealous of Helly because we see in her outside world, she is controlled Everything is fronted. Everything is bitch. She's in the structure. She's got to deal with her fucking psychotic dad and all that. And she looks in and, oh my God, here's somebody who's fucking happy, who may even find love. She's not even a person. She only has hours of life, and she has more freedom than I do. I think she's jealous of Helly and wants to taste that.
Having misplaced anger at yourself is a whole new level. Like, absolutely, that's what's happening. But it's just like, again, she but she can't admit that, so she's gonna do the spiteful, hateful thing against her own self, rather than, like, because she's hurt, the whole hurt people, blah blah blah. She's willing to damage her own self because she's jealous of this this nothing, plus getting called a fetid moppet.
I curse you in Latin, just to add a sense of archaic character to it.
This is so weird. I almost used Latin in the thumbnail.
It would have been awesome.
I was gonna write in Latin, the new boss. Here comes the new boss, same as the old boss, in Latin. That's so weird.
So I gotta note Rena's statement here in the chat, because freaking yes, all the way there. I loved her long, stately walk along the windowed walkway back to work, in contrast to Mark's frenetic, claustrophobic return. Oh yeah, it was so beautiful. It was like, honestly, it's like an old 2D side scroller video game, perfectly kept in frame as it went through, and then met up, and she was there at the end. Oh, it was just so beautifully done. They get some of the best camera shots in this show.
Yeah, perfection. It's close to perfect of a show you can get so far.
Now, okay, so obviously my thought last week was correct. It was not 5 months. It was the weekend. They did a frenetic. I had to throw this together in 48 hours. I've got one guy that got fired here, and these two other guys. Who gets the great line when Mark's returning to work one day is like, 3 days and I'm gone? I gave up a lease in Cold Harbor or Southern Michigan. It was just, I was just laughing my butt off on this
one. Bob Balaban was not having it.
If you're going to show up and just do a brief little bit, this is the guy, perfect cast. No notes on any of that. But yes, that they try to get him to come back to work with new people. Obviously, any Mark's not having it. So then Milchick's got to go around and bring everyone back. Did it involve a pineapple? I love that Selvig asked that, because they all do. They're all just like, here's the thing with this giant freaking pineapple sitting out. Please come back to Lumen. And of course they do. We would guess that Irving obviously does, because there's something that he's trying to figure out. He's on a mission. Dylan needs to go back because, damn it, he needs freaking work, and he's got a family. He's got bills to pay. Mark's getting a raise, at least. What'd they say, 20% raise? That's not a small amount.
Nothing. That's not nothing.
No. So I love the fact that got all pushed and twisted around, and that the innies are living in a whole separate, even more of a separate reality than they were before, than the outside world, because their sense of time is even all wrong. But Helly does not protest when she's got to go in. Does she not protest because she is a good corporate girl and does whatever daddy demands her to do because that's what she is there for? Or is she going back because maybe I want to taste this other world that we don't know? I still love that it's still up in the air. Is it any Helly? Is it outer Helena? Obviously where we're leaning, folks. but the fact that they do keep these really unclear, I love. This is where you get a mystery right by not telling information. Usually people will lean into mysteries of it's just not telling you information. No, a proper mystery tells you enough information, but holds stuff back without really making it seem like they are. So you can constantly get reveals. You get little tastes that you're solving, you're stepping forward, but you don't get it all. And they've done a really good job in setting this up.
Yeah. And I also like that scene of them coming back. To me, what it was like, how they're just going back to work for like the millionth time. It's dull, it's boring. But when they go in, the adventure begins.
Yes.
Like they just blink and it's back to work or back to leaving work again. But for them, to me, it's like they're an adventuring party as soon as they get down there. You know what I mean? Like
They're the
show really begins
superheroes.
when you go down there. So now that we've seen all of this, you know, on the outside, I want to get back in to the severed floor next week as soon as possible. But we have one thing left to talk about before we're done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's the big confrontation between Mark and Harmony Cobell.
She's as cold as ice.
Which is where they got the whole, did they offer you, you know, was a pineapple involved?
So freaking gold. God damn.
I thought you were going to quit. And just, she does not care. This is the kind of people I deal with all the time. I think we see a lot of these people that just don't care. They're saying what they're saying and they're just leaving, and Mark can't believe it. You've done all this terrible stuff. You're a liar. You invaded my life, and you think you just get to walk away without explaining yourself? Just like Mark on the inside standing up to Mr. Milkshake, he's not going to take it from her on the outside. And what's great about this is how much silence says everything.
Oh, yes. Oh, no.
He's got the power, and he's standing there, and she can't believe he's standing in front of her car. It's more than how dare you. It's like, who is this guy standing here? And what is going on? Silence. There's almost like fear in Selvig's eyes, Cobellvig. And it's like you watch Adam Scott think. Look at her reaction, react to that reaction. What do I say right now? Gemma. You know, he brings up, what do you know about my wife? Right? What do you know? And that, like, the captions and everything that are on are like shallowed breathing, and you can tell that she does not know what to do or say because he's not supposed to know any of this. And so you don't know how much of this is the gears are turning, because the last time she drove away that fast was to go back to Lumen and say, they're free. But it also speaks to like how I've seen people that I know that are true believers behave when they're cornered. They have no other option but truth, and they can't tell you the truth because that would hurt them. That would hurt their delusion. It would hurt all kinds of things. So how does she react? She screams, slams on the horn, and almost runs him over to get away from him. And sure, she's going somewhere important, but...
Well, I think she's getting away.
Yeah.
More than going somewhere is what's true, because you're right. This is a beautiful setup of a shift of control. Because Selvig has this at the beginning. She is cold. She is harsh. She's poking fudge about, I thought you were quitting. You know, was a pineapple involved? All of this type of stuff where she has the powers, like she is dismissing him and just walking away because he's not important. And he is struggling to try and get some explanation out of this person who's not even paying any attention. She has all the power until he makes that moment to jump in front of her car and demand answers. And then he's pushing up and she's got nothing to say. And you're right. And the minute that she mentions Gemma, and her face just kind of falls, where it's like there's that reaction and then there's that process. You say, Mark's processing, you're seeing it happen right in front of you. Like suddenly everything his sister's been saying, the stuff that he didn't want to think about, that he wanted to push away because it was too painful to even think about it. Now someone is reacting who shouldn't know anything about it. What do you know about my wife? And then she has to leave because suddenly the power's shifted. He has all of it and she has nothing. And it's such a beautiful way to end it. And you got Innie Mark and Outie Mark kind of on the same page at the moment in how they're dealing with the world. It was just, it was
perfection.
Just beautifully. And like you said,
and again,
so much was said without a single line of dialogue.
Just talking about it, my hair is on. I got goosebumps just talking about this stuff. It's because that's how good this show is. Roger in the chat, Helena and that new guy gave each other this look. They definitely have a plan. They're not even telling Milkshake. Well, I think that guy's there to watch for James Egan.
Yeah,
he's that guy's, like, now that whatever's gone on, he's not leaving. He's not going very far. He was there in the diner with his little frolic tattoo, which makes me think, wasn't that part of the whole? I don't know. I don't want to go back to that orgy scene, but like, we're eventually going to get more of that. I imagine.
Yeah, there will be more waffle parties. Yeah,
there will be more. There is guaranteed at least one more waffle party in this series. But that guy, he's an intimidating actor. He's an intimidating character on this show, and he has barely said any words. All he basically is kind of like an investigator. He's like the new, what was the name of the guy who got Negan'd last year? Gorman.
Yes.
I think he's like the next one of him, except they upgraded. They upgraded and gave us a great big Viking looking dude.
Sure. Well, you gotta level your bosses up. You gotta level your bosses up every season. Yeah. It's important.
So we're gonna definitely see more of him. We haven't even been introduced to Gwendolyn Christie yet, who's gonna be in this show. So freaking what's her name?
She's
Brienne of Tarth is going to be on this show.
I love her. She is so good.
And she won't be in a silver Star Wars stormtrooper outfit. So, we've got that going for us.
She'll be able to do a little bit more than that. Thank God. Well, yeah, look, they did that to Amos too in Ahsoka. Right. So, but that's all right. Amos is in the Star Wars universe, so that's all I care about.
All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything. Is there anything else that you have for episode 2?
I only had one little thought when we were talking about, because we obviously have the thing between Cobell and Mark is there is some connection, at least on Selvig's side, seems to be some sort of obsessive connection, being both boss and, unknown neighbor. Why is all that? I wonder, and this is just throwing out, if she was involved in the accident that killed Gemma, and that started the whole connection to bring people in and responsibility and stuff. That's just, while we were talking, that just popped into my head. I'm hoping it's probably more interesting than that, but
I guess last thing, and it'll be something we probably already talked about, and we can just be brief on this one, and I'll try to be better at bringing this up so we can spend a little more time on this, which was, what's our favorite moment from this episode? So, my favorite moment, I'm sorry, is the end. It's the car. it's the shift. It's the shift of power at the end of that, without saying hardly a word, just using the actors' faces and the situation. That's my favorite part. Because again, like I said, I got goosebumps just talking about that
Yeah.
scene of like, how do you end an episode too? Like, how do you end an episode and then hard cut and then hit the music, folks? And everybody's got to sit there and imagine if you this show, like if we watch TV in theaters.
Oh yeah, to be like a
Right.
what?
If we all sat in theaters and watched shows like Selvig and the music cuts in, everybody'd have goosebumps going, "Oh my god." So
Yeah.
that's my favorite moment of the episode.
You know, I think I may have to agree with you. I mean, again, there were moments I loved. I loved seeing Bert, Christopher Walken's face popping out of the shadow in the car, like, oh, there's something going on there. I love that. I love the little moments with Helena watching the video and seeing and kind of reacting with the kiss and what's going on with her Innie, and that kind of little conflict going on, you know, was great. The whole door scene was freaking hilarious. I love the back and forth that was going on with that. But you're right, for full moments of impact, yeah, that last scene with it's not even like the whole scene, just the part where they're staring at each other at the freaking on the street. She's in the car, he's on the hood, pushing back. Yeah, that pushed everything up to the next level. So
The only other thing that comes close would be, for me, would be Helly studying the video.
yeah,
And just again, silence. All she's doing is studying something, and we can hear what we've already seen. And it's just like how she's saying a lot, and we don't know. We can only assume, but again, just it's great storytelling, just done with the camera, the actors, not even dialogue. It's just amazing.
yeah, because they are telling a story without saying anything, so they leave it open for interpretation, but they are telling a story, you know. So it's saying things without having to say things is always a brilliant choice when done properly.
Okay. Well, we did it. We did it. We managed to, and I'm so happy that I'm like, how many, like, because we usually cover 6-episode series about Marvel shows. So it's like, oh, there's only 4 more weeks. Now, man, we got like 7 more weeks, I think, at least, to talk about this show. And that's, oh, I love it. I love having not just something to do every week for the next 7 weeks until we start talking about, like, you know, Daredevil and Andor and other things and Last of Us season 2 and all that stuff. Just feels good to be talking about a show this worthwhile. So, you got anything coming up in the next week before we return?
No, I've got a few projects that I am working on, which will be revealed in time once I've got some stuff sort of worked out. But I got definitely something with this guy we're going to be seeing here soon. But otherwise, no, I will be back here next week, probably at our regular Friday night slot time. Had a little Innie issue this week, you know, it happens. They don't have any concept of time anyway. Last night and tonight, they don't know. They don't know.
You know, I'll say this. I've been saying this for years. Mental health breaks. If you don't feel right, don't make a video.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done it. I've made the mistake of making a video when I shouldn't, when I got too many other things going on. And even all of you out there that anybody that could watch this is a much bigger channel, and you know, when YouTube is your job, and if you don't do this, you know, you'll fall behind on the algorithm. Your mental health is just more important. And yesterday, I needed an extra bit of time before I could tackle this show the way I want to right now. This would have been a completely different video if I hadn't listened to my Innie and said, nope. We'll do it when you're ready. And we're back, and we did it, and I think it was great. So,
oh yeah,
I'm just doing whatever I'm doing. I'm gonna play some games later on tonight, and tomorrow I'm gonna be working on some other things. And maybe I'll make a video, but I don't have anything like in the works other than more comic stuff. Yeah. So look out for more comic book stuff. And I'm going to be doing something with this guy very soon. We're going to be talking about that as soon as we get off the air. So anyway, thanks, Darren, for being here. Go check out D's reviews. Go subscribe to his channel, but also look out. And if you're waiting for him to restart for Daredevil and Andor, go over there and hit the bell for all notifications. So that way, when they do show up, you'll know right away. You know. And so anyway, I'm Rob. This is my channel, Smirking Gun. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. We will be back next Friday, hopefully, as long as everything works out okay. I'm putting plans in place so that doesn't happen again next week. So next Friday, 8:30 Central Standard Time, come get severed with us as we just get weird here out in the outer rim. Have a great night. Be good to each other, and we'll see you on the next video, everybody. Bye. Enjoy the outro.
Fuck you, Mr. Milchick!
Ba-ba-ba-bum. Ba-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum-bum. 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 Ba-bum-bum-bum.